Hello, you dashing dogs, and welcome back to the F1 23 Last to First Championship. Today, we head to Singapore, the venue of Formula One's first ever night race, and at a new layout, no less, where it's getting a bit moist. But in the race, that is not the case. We are driving as Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo today to finally spark some rejuvenation into his season, because he has skill issues. So let's try and rectify those issues in qualifying. It's a Category 46 downpour as Zhou Guanyu here in qualifying. He's having an absolutely brilliant run of things. P7 currently as we head on to the new layout section. What's he? Oh, no! Oh, Guanyu Zhou, what have you done, sunshine? Oh, I don't believe it. Someone at the team forgot to tell him it was a new layout. Oh, no. Breaking into the right-hander, which isn't a right-hander. And that is the face of someone who knows they done goofed. Off Zhou goes to the garage. Who is Zhou? Well, Zhou The results are in, though, and Charles Leclerc can have all my children. A 1 minute 49.7, just ahead of Sergio Perez, who out-qualifies Max Verstappen. Incredible stuff. Ferrari 1 and 4. They'll be looking to boost that particular result in the race. Alonso in 5th. And I was so angry, I didn't even show you the bottom 10. Hamilton didn't really qualify that well. Mercedes didn't do well as a whole. But as you can see, I mean, yeah, Zhou Guanyu lacks synapses. And that's all you need to know. A dry race. We're starting on the softs. Our teammate actually did so well to qualify in 8th. But as for us, we're lost. Saturday was a shocker then, but Sunday is time to sweep them off their feet. 5 red lights, lights out, and away we go at Singapore, and it's actually a great start versus Tsunoda on those mediums. We get pushed to the pit wall, but that doesn't deter us as we dive down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo and Ocon. 3 wide into the first corner, that's going to get hairy, and then through turn number 3, guess what? Just because it can, it starts raining. What is going on? No time to ask those questions. We have to have all the answers for Ocon's attack, and we do. And we have an answer to Kevin Magnussen as he gets all crossed up, trying to get past Albon on the inside. We say thank you very much. Still wheel-to-wheel stuff into the left-hander. Magnussen forgets to actually go in a straight line, turns into us, but it doesn't matter. Diving down the inside of Alex Albon, though, straight away. We are not here to hang around. We are here to mean business in this Singapore Grand Prix, and now we carry on transgressing the track, checking the weather actually, as the rain started spitting down just to see how it will play out. Actually, according to the weather report, it should be just dry for the whole race, so it's not really going to make into anything. Hulkenberg looking vulnerable. We say that looks tasty, and we scran it down the inside. A lovely old nosh from Guanyu Zhou. And up into P12 now in this race, with Lance Stroll, our next target in the Aston Martin. So already, we are making Zhou Guanyu's life much better. Race, I mean, he finished 19th last time out. It couldn't get much worse if he tried. Luckily, with me at the wheel, we're actually doing very reasonably. So, next target, like I said, Lance Stroll, renowned for being Leclerc with the fastest lap of the race, though. He's kept the lead off of both the Red Bulls, so well done to the Ferrari driver. Again, checking the weather. Well, checked it frantically throughout the whole race, just to see if we did end up needing intermediates, but that's not going to happen. Instead, we're going to sell Lance Stroll for a bag of fish and chips, large, with an extra side of mushy peas, as we're going to hold it round the outside of the next corner, and we run rings around Lance Stroll. Lovely little move. Nice and neatly done with a switchback. We complete the assignment with a beautiful round the outside sweep around. Fantastic. Whew. Okay, let's take a breather, everyone, shall we? A replay of the race start, then, for your entertainment. Aliens happened. No idea what happened. Leclerc with the extraterrestrial getaway. Verstappen with a getaway out of Star Wars 6, which is absolutely furious as he's holding it round the outside from 3rd place. What a launch he got. My goodness me, what a crack my voice had. But anyway, as he holds it down the inside, the rampant Red Bull, as it has been all season, trying to make a move on the prancing horse, but Leclerc kicks it up into another gear, and now it's the Mexican Maestro that's on the move on his teammate. Great fighting between the Red Bulls, side by side into the left-hander. Verstappen holds it round the outside, though, and it allows Leclerc to scamper away like a rabid dog. Meanwhile, here's Valtteri Bottas, our teammate, and he's also looking a bit suspect into the left, so we decide to dance round him. It takes two to tango, and we tangoed brilliantly. I prefer the Ice Blast myself, but we're going to dash a cool bit of ice and a little bit of zest on as we hold down the inside into the right-hander, up into the points with Guanyu Zhou. He is no longer pointless in this F1 season. That was a bit mean. Lap number 3, DRS enabled, and as you can see, we are within a second of Hamilton, but he himself is DRS on Piastri, who defends brilliantly, actually, to keep that P8 position, and it's going to be a little bit of a stalemate for the time being, I'm afraid, because even though we'll get close, there's no real avenues as we get up to these cars that are really considerably faster than the Alfa Romeo. Also, the spittling of rain is not helping. I know I'm British, but I didn't mean to bring the British weather with me. So through the left-hander, this is our strongest section by far, as we cut in, get on the power a bit earlier, but we're nowhere near close enough to try and make a move. Think about using that outside line, cutting in. We are right underneath Hamilton's diffuser. We are absolutely rapid, but there's just no avenue. There's nothing we can do against the 7-time world champion, and we have to bide our time some more. By a bit more, I meant a few corners. Here we are on lap number 4 then, once again through turn 3, and look how strong we are. The nose biting in towards the apex, the tyres tractioning into the tarmac, and now we are closer than ever before on the Mercedes man, and there is a real threat in our Alfa Romeo stallion. I don't know what I was going for, but anyway, enough of the animal comparisons. Hamilton muling his Mercedes towards the back of the McLaren, and we see an opportunity. We're going to lunge like a boa constrictor. Down the inside we go. We have a firm hold of P9 now. Fantastic stuff. The rain spittling down is not dampening our spirits, and we continue to weather the storm against the rest of the grid. Next target, Oscar Piastri, as we actually clip the wall on the outside. So that's not ideal. Enough of that. No George Russelling today, shall we? But it's going to prove a bit tricky to catch young Oscar. It takes until lap number 6 before we have even a whiff of an opportunity on the McLaren man. And I'll tell you why. It's because these tyres suddenly on lap number 5 fell off a cliff. They felt really nice, really grippy, bit into the surface, were sticky enough to weld together my car. However, on this lap, or the last lap, for some reason, they just capitulated. I have no idea why. Look at this, even with DRS, we're still not close enough. We are getting away from Hamilton slowly but surely, but this is not where we want to be. We know we have the pace to do more in this race. So as our pit window opens, and I suspect why this is the case and why we're so stuck now, because, well, the rain. Quite frankly, I think it is the rainy conditions, because the AI seem to excel when the track is in that between phase of dry to wet. And in this particular instance, it's playing to their strengths big time. However, let's take the power out of their hands. Let's deploy the DRS. Oscar will defend the inside monstrously. However, we are meteoric. Round the outside we go. And that is P8. Done and dusted. Lovely little move. A sumptuous send on the McLaren, and we find ourselves with Guanyu Zhou with 4 points to our name, and we can calmly coax it into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Finally, some real progress being made in this last of first at Singapore. A little bit of a limbo. We slow down for the pit lane, though. I was saying, though, a little bit of a limbo, but we've found our form now, even when the tyres are starting to go off. There's Max Verstappen, and really, we're not that far away, if you think about it, from winning this race. Ronaldo actually hasn't deafened me this time, so I'm very happy about that. What I'm not happy about is the fact I got held in for longer than a whole series of Top Gear. The old ones, because I'm cultured. And as a result, I mean, actually, we're still only just behind Lando Norris, so we still gain time in the pit lane. So, it is not done until it's done. We have jobs to do. I've lost the ability to actually speak English. You wouldn't think I was a citizen. Disrespect to the homeland aside, we are well and truly in range of attacking Lando Norris, which is a great piece of news for us. We're going to go around the right-hander. We have DRS at our disposal. However, nowhere near close enough to try and attempt. That's not a word. Attempt is a word, though. And there's nothing we can do to attempt a move on the young McLaren youngster. These analogies just write themselves, don't they? Well, young Charles has done a good job up to this point, but the question was, how long could he curtail the Red Bull charge? And the question might be answered on lap number 7. Here comes Verstappen, DRS wide open on the outside, like he did to his teammate on lap 1, and round Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen goes, And that will probably be all she wrote, considering the pace of that Red Bull, unfortunately. Meanwhile, here's Hamilton onto lap number 9, I think, of this race. Unfortunately, I have less pixels than a cat. But good news for Hamilton, he does jump Piastri in the pit lane. So all is not lost for the Mercedes man. And in other news, Alonso's on the hard tyres. So really, it's all going to go absolutely horrendously for the Aston Martin man, and they should be ashamed. Meanwhile, while Hamilton's coming out of the pits, currently in 10th place, I have some great news, because for the first time this season, I think, we have a new race leader, and his name is Yuki Tsunoda. There he is, and he's well on his way to winning his first race this season. Oh my god! Here's our perspective, though. On to lap number 9 we go, and for those of you that were paying attention, you will have probably seen where we ended up, but running rings around the rest of the grid alongside Carlos Sainz and past Carlos Sainz. So he performed a just sensational undercut, and we are right underneath the backside of Lando Norris. To which he withdraws his allowance on that particular one, so he opens his flap up and says goodnight Irene, and Sergio Perez, who's come out of the pit lane, actually chops him off on the outside very crudely from the Mexican Minister of Driving Slow. So we see an opportunity and dive down the inside of Lando Norris, and it's a great move up into P6 at this Singapore Grand Prix. Guanyu Zhou, actually provisionally, we're in P5 once Tsunoda pits. So Guanyu Zhou hasn't scored a point at all this season, and now he's spotting and eyeing up the double figures worth of points. This is amazing news for the Alfa Romeo driver, who's really not had the rub of the green whatsoever in this last to first championship. And I'm not doing him any favours skating over the curbs like Tony Hawk. So even with DRS, we're going to be nowhere near Sergio, who's going to just run away into the distance for at least one more lap. But through the corners, we are a weapon unleashed, a rocket ship, a flash in the pan, a explosion. It's not enough on this lap, but ladies and gentlemen, we attempt to cook casserole, sauna, and all other forms of mildly overheating the competition ahead of us. Again, through the first 3 corners, we're out of DRS of Norris already. We are absolutely flying, and through the right-hander, that's what I wanted to do. And with DRS, our best opportunity yet to put the sword to one of the Red Bulls. Perez moves late to the inside, defends it, but we say no thank you, sir, and we're through on Sergio Perez. Down the inside, it was robust racing. Somehow no damage on our wagon. We managed to find the grip and find the overtake where we needed to. We coaxed some bravery into our little lungs, and with a big exhale, we made the move we needed to make. Great stuff. It felt like he moved late. I also could have just not predicted it very well. But equally, I don't care. We are P4 in this race. And that is just, I need, do you know what? Let's just indulge ourselves. I am Mr. Smug. I will happily taste that cake once again. Oh, yes. In fact, diving down the inside, we weren't even alongside, really. Perez gets scared off the racing line. And we decide, you know what? A bit of an elbow and a shove. And all I can say is, I like that. You didn't think it was going to be easy, though, did you? On to lap number 12, we go around the final couple of corners. And oh, my God, what is that straight line speed? Perez salamanders to our outside, but we say no to the slimy citizen. And that will still be P4 for us, even though he tries to dive it down the inside again here. But it actually compromises his exit, and that will mean we can scamper off into the distance like a little rabbit, which is fine by me. I am not going to complain anytime soon, but through the stint we go. You can see, as we go through the right and the left here on lap number 12, again brushing the wall. That was not part of the script whatsoever. And again through the left-handers. We're just trying to get out of Perez's DRS, really. That's all I'm trying to achieve. But at the same time, these conditions, which play to the strength of my competitors so well. In other words, if you're a cheating nonce. Unfortunately, the FIA doesn't do justice, and we have to do it the hard way. But out of the first 3 corners, oh yes. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's 4th place sorted. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. On to lap number 14, penultimate lap, and I wanted you to spot some Tokyo drifting. There it is, a massive drift, gets a solid 11 out of 10 from the crowd. Unfortunately, that does no favours for our pace, and Perez is now all over our diffuser once again. Our tyres, I mean, we cooked earlier in terms of overtaking. However, our rear tyres are cooked, and the surface temperature is a joke. I'm sliding about everywhere now. This is what I had on the softs for a brief period. Sliding about all over the place. Perez, though, goes for the dive, and I didn't expect that. My goodness me, I've never seen an AI been that opportunistic, for lack of a better term. That's the tyre state. Perez with DRS, though, sends us to the inside. I've got no brakes whatsoever, and Perez sends me to the shops for a fish and chips and the battered sausage as extras. We've been absolutely, well and truly, cottage pied. And that's probably the worst analogy I've ever done. Let me try again in explaining it as we watch a replay right now of how on earth it happened. So I was defending the inside. Perez was providing the meat layer underneath. He then said, would you like some sauce with that overtake? Got his gravy granules out, completed it with the mash, and now I'm very upset. That was not part of the script whatsoever. My tyres just fell off a cliff completely, though. I have no idea how, because I didn't overdo them. It didn't feel like I overdid them anyway. As you can see on the tyre temperature graph, our actual core temperatures are fine. It's the surface temperature that is a joke. The rain has completely cooled them down. The AI won't experience this, of course, because they're cheating frauds. Addy hash. However, I mean, look, I sound disgruntled. I sound a bit peeved off, but really I shouldn't be, considering, I mean, look where we are. In this Alfa Romeo. Look where our teammate is. He's in another continent compared to us. It's beautiful. We've driven so well, really, despite the tyre problems, despite the weather. Verstappen takes the win. Zhou, though, hasn't scored all season, but he does now! He's finally done it in 2023. P5 at the Singapore Grand Prix for the Chinese driver. Every single driver has finally scored a point this season. It's driver of the day for Guanyu Zhou, and he finally gets himself on the board.
What a great race it's been then. Another classic Singapore Grand Prix, and they've held on to take the checkered flag here today. Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. It's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Wow, Verstappen's won again. Who expected that? Really, though, he was dominant, and there's no other way of putting it. He absolutely rinsed the rest of the grid. It's the reason as to why he's the championship leader by such a margin. Despite him being taken out in qualifying at Hungary, despite him starting last at his home Grand Prix, and despite the chaos that was the British Grand Prix, he still found a way every single time this season, and you can't fault him for it. You really can't. It's the full complement of 26 points for the Red Bull driver. But for us, finally, Guanyu Zhou has done it. P5 in this Singapore Grand Prix. Finally gets his name up the standings, off the bottom of the charts, and off the big fat donut score. And he deserves it, really. Or should I say, I deserve it. So, go me. A really solid drive, though. Despite the fact we got absolutely sent by Perez at the end, I can't really complain all that much. Elsewhere, though, our teammate who did start so well in qualifying couldn't find his feet in the race. Has to settle in the end for P12. Stroll so close to getting points, but it was not enough to get past Oscar Piastri in the end. Hamilton will be quite disappointed. That's well Alonso, really, after starting P5. The undercuts proved to be the most powerful strategy at a track that is still notoriously difficult to overtake at. It's disappointment, though, for one team, and that's Alpine. Oh my goodness, P15 and P17. When they're trying to be in the hunt of securing their place in the Constructors, and quite a high place at that, that is not what they needed at all. White flags, put them away right now, sunshine. You baguette. But anyway, thus concludes the Singapore Grand Prix. Next, we're off to the land of the rising sun, the Japanese Grand Prix. Before we head there, though, let's have a look at the Drivers' Championship standings. Max Verstappen takes his 7th win of the season here in Singapore and finally breaks into the 300-point barrier. His lead to Perez is, well, it's not even close. 116 points is the gap between himself and his teammate, and his teammate's got other problems to worry about. Charles Leclerc with a strong result means he's right on the tail of that Red Bull driver. Charles Leclerc does well, George Russell does well. Sainz and Hamilton will be a bit disappointed, really, after today. It's the battle between Alonso and Norris that I am interested in seeing, though. Norris is catching big time. Only the gap now at 33 points, and he looks to be reeling in the wily old fox. Meanwhile, someone who does have their synapses firing and is a spring chicken, Guanyu Zhou, well done to him, off the bottom of the standings, up to 16th now on 10 points. Means Logan Sargent drops to the bottom of the standings. And finally, as I said before, everyone has scored points, so I will give them a clap. The constructors' standings, and no one has moved. No one has moved. I'm sorry to disappoint you. However, all is not quite as it seems. Ferrari and Mercedes still with a small gap between the two of them. It's McLaren and Aston Martin once again that are bringing the zest, though. Aston Martin, thanks to Fernando Alonso, on 139 points. McLaren, though, now on 106, and with two drivers now consistently scoring. So the gap now between them, also, like with Norris and Alonso, only 33 points. So it all gets very, very interesting now, doesn't it? Alfa Romeo as well, only 3 points off the Haas team. Yes, they have a win to their name. However, Alfa Romeo are the more consistent team. So be on the lookout for that battle. Will we see any surprises over in Suzuka? Well, you'll just have to wait and see. Thank you very much for watching round number 16 of the F1 23 Last to First Championship. Rapidly approaching the end of the season, and I'm loving every single second of it. If you did enjoy this video, then please leave it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Still a massive amount of you that haven't subscribed, and I'm cross. But if you just nip that subscribe button, give it a little peck, I'll be very happy indeed. Will Max Verstappen continue his championship charge in Suzuka? Yeah, probably. But you'll have to find that out for yourselves. Until then, though, once again, I thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, I'll see you soon.